Comicsgate, it's like Gamergate, but in the comics industry. The left really have a way of ruining everything. Everything to them is a social cause. Do they not realize that some people just want to get on with their life, enjoy games, enjoy comics? Do they have to get involved and ruin everything? After Gamergate, the left is now going for the comics industry. But the media will tell you Comicsgate and the pushback against far-left propaganda being pushed in the comics industry is a, quote, targeted harassment campaign against people advocating for diversity in comics. But it's not the right to blame here, it's the left who have taken something that is innately unpolitical and made it a social justice cause and ruined something that is unpolitical and in fact something that people across all political spectrums can enjoy together. Just like Gamergate, progressives are quick to call anyone objecting to inserting an agenda in their beloved comics as bigots. But what else is new? One reporter claimed, quote, Comicsgate, meanwhile, seems to just want less diversity, both in characters and creators, in an attempt to save comics and keep the medium white, male, and familiar. That's it. This isn't about keeping comics white. This is about stopping comics from being ruined by far-left political agendas. People love popular comic book franchises, so when the left try to change the nature of a story, they anger a lot of people. If this was really about equality and changing the comic book industry, why aren't they creating new comic books instead? Carve out your own niche and let the free market determine whether or not you're doing something people want or not. But so far, we know that the attempt to implement a progressive agenda within the comics industry isn't boding well with consumers. Marvel's transition from traditional storyline to political correctness began in 2011 with Brian Michael Bendis, a left-wing writer who launched a reboot version of Marvel called The Ultimate Universe, and the mainstream media pushed it really hard. And it goes beyond Spider-Man. There has been a string of diversity shifts recently with big changes to Captain America, Ms. Marvel, and Thor. Captain America is black, Ms. Marvel is a 16-year-old Pakistani-American Muslim, Thor is somehow a woman, and even Captain America is working with domestic terrorist organization Antifa. With a great push from their bought and paid for media shills, they even announced that they would have their first gay wedding in the comic Astonishing X-Men. It was canceled a year later due to low sales. A trend that seems to be happening to nearly every franchise the SJWs at Marvel touch. There is a financial disaster waiting to ripple through the industry, leading to loss of jobs and countless mom and pop comic shops being forced to close down. This has to end. The progressive agenda in comics has tainted their very business practices. As if a fictional pyramid of oppressed wasn't enough, they have been pursuing hiring practices that seem more like virtue signaling campaign than an honest showcase of merit or talent. These purse puppy hires have become the new class of self-entitled comics gatekeepers who can often be seen on social media berating the consumers with ad hominems akin to what any right-of-center person is used to facing from the resistance. In spite of all this, comic fans have band together under the hashtags Comicsgate and Move the Needle to save their beloved pastime. One fan who has become a thorn in the side of SJW comic pros is Richard Meyer. His channel, Diversity in Comics, has become a force to be reckoned with. Richard started his channel as an honest critique of the comics industry's clear political bias and the behavior of progressives who have been platformed as pros thanks to affirmative action and the industry's need to win the oppressive Olympics, trading sales and fandom for social brownie points. Predictably, Meyer was swarmed by SJWs working at the two big publishers who went as far as to dox his past, his family, spread lies about him, and even make violent threats towards him. When these tactics did not work to scare Meyer into retreating, the SJW pros dared him to put his money where his mouth is and make his own comic. Meyer's Indiegogo campaign for his book Jawbreakers is now the #1 crowdfunded comic in history, passing Vox Day's Alt Heroes. Ethan Van Sciver is another pro-comic book artist that has come out strongly against leftist comics after they tried to blacklist him for being a Trump supporter. His popular YouTube channel, Comic Artist Pro Secrets, which criticizes comics and Star Wars for being too SJW, is also skyrocketing in subscriptions. Skyver has also launched his own comic book project on Indiegogo called Cyberfrog, which broke 80,000 sales in less than 2 days. Obviously, there's an appetite for regular comics without political meddling. The lesson to be learned here is that we must never forget that we are in control. Art, mythology, and entertainment belong to us, the people, and not to an elite class of ideologues and business moguls who are happy to trample over every little tradition. We have the power to disarm this villainy. We must create the new canons and tell new stories. The case of Skyver and Meyer show it pays to fight back loudly with our own productions, our own innovations, and our own stories. Our victories in the culture war are just the seeds for a bright future where political meddling is removed from popular media. The far left will lose the gaming industry, and they're going to lose the comics industry too. If you want to see more from me and the rest of the Rebel team, like and subscribe.